Hey everybody, this is Tim Hurley from Go Country 105, and I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness with David Levita. How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. You're holding the guitar, so I'm hoping for a treat later.
I don't know. It's just, kind of keeps me, it's like my security blanket.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll give you
all
a chord.
Yeah, let's. Oh my
There you
God.
go.
Be still my beating heart.
That is not country, by the way.
And we'll get to that for sure. So I just want to give a brief background of how I came to know who you are. I'm a big country fan, obviously. Even though I'm from Rhode Island, I'm Irish-German, makes no sense, but here we are. So Tim McGraw, one of my favorite artists, and I've seen him in concert a ton. And I went to, I've gone to several shows, and I look up on stage, and there's one guy playing guitar. And I can't say that you're stealing the show, but man, there is a huge, huge stage presence there. And so I had to look you up, and I'm like, who's in the band? Who's touring with Tim? And Dave Levita pops up, and you are like a huge deal in music, and not just country music, but just in music. I'm completely blown away at who I'm talking to right now.
No, man, I'm just a side man, but that's very sweet. I'm lucky that I get to work in a few different areas of music, not just in the country music world, but, no, I'm just a side guy.
I'm the most humble side guy of all time. So I got to ask you real quick, are you based in Los Angeles right now? Or are you in all right. So you're based in LA.
Here for many years. Moved here probably 30 years ago, and it was love at first sight.
So I don't want to take up a huge amount of time, and I'll give a little bio when we post this thing so people see all that you've worked with. But you have worked with pretty much everyone, like every artist, as a studio musician, as a touring musician. How do you break into an industry that is so competitive and work with so many incredible artists?
Lot of luck and bullheaded stubbornness. And I was quite a late bloomer, but I caught a very lucky break years ago, and I heard that there was auditions, kind of a cattle call audition for Alanis Morissette's band, and I managed to get into her band, and that really changed my life. That really set me on a course.
So when you say a cattle call audition, you have to be on somebody's, mind, somebody's mailing list somehow.
Yeah, I think, most music gigs are word of mouth, and this was no different. Somebody knew enough to get me, knew my name well enough to, tell her manager or whoever was running the auditions that, maybe I could get a slot on the auditions. And, auditions are the worst. I've failed most of them. That one I got lucky.
What is exactly the audition process? I can't even imagine how stressful that has to be to audition for somebody that is obviously very successful.
They in the case of that audition, they gave everybody a list of a few songs to learn and see how people would play them. And I knew that she was looking for 2 guitar players in the band at the time. So I figured there's a lot of people in this town that would be able to learn the exact guitar stuff off the records better than me. And they were going to be in the room with me playing those parts. So rather than me do that, I learned the songs, but I kind of came up with my own additional part to each of the songs. I took a risk, and it paid off.
I was going to say that could totally backfire too, right? You must deal with musicians that don't want you to stray at all. They just want you to play, whatever you're told to play.
Yeah. But I just figured, at least on the when I learned the record, if there was only really one guitar going on, I was like, the other guy's got to do something. So it was kind of like that. And, and I did know one of the guys. She had 2 remaining people in her band. The rest of the band she had parted ways with, and she was getting all new band members. And I knew one of them, so I had a little bit of an inside. But ultimately, she had to decide, and that was it.
How much time did you actually spend with Alanis before becoming part of the band? I imagine personalities, there has to be a vibe there, not just musically, but also personally.
She's a very, she had these two musicians that were in the band run the auditions for her for, I think, 2 rounds. You get a call back, etc. And then she kind of came in one afternoon with the people that they thought were, she would like the most. I think maybe we went 1 round beyond that with her. That was it. She turned to all of us that were newbies and said, I would love to have you in my band. And that was it. Done.
How did everybody react in the room at that point?
We
Awkward
were all,
silence or celebratory?
No, we were all, very humble. We, most of it, I don't think any of us had a gig with an artist of that stature, and that powerful before. So we were all ecstatic, but we tried to keep cool about it. She's such a warm person that we could show emotion. We were able, but it wasn't like screaming up and down or anything like that. But my heart was beating fast, trust me. And when I drove home after that, I was kind of, I was definitely tripping.
Did you feel like you'd made it at that point already, or where were you at?
No, I honestly had no idea what an amazing ride I was about to embark on. I didn't have a clue. I mean, I didn't think about it. But once we started, so many things about that time in my life were just amazing. And so, no, I didn't think like that. And, being a musician is a hard path. So you have to realize that nobody owes you anything. A gig can last for a day. It could last for a year. It could last a lifetime. You never know. So keep your expectations low. And I had, paid a lot of dues. I had done, busked on the streets of London. I had done some gigs that weren't so glamorous and, had failures and stuff. So I was pretty humble. I didn't think like, okay, this is it now. And her attitude as a person, she's quite humble, considering that she is this, historic singer-songwriter. She was incredibly humble. So yeah.
Well, it obviously opened up a ton of doors for you, and you've performed in all different genres as well. And one kind of spoke to me in particular, Eminem.
Yeah.
So you're playing for Tim McGraw now. I mean, Eminem, Alanis Morrissette. Well,
I mean, I played on an Eminem album. I'm, part of the thing that happened when I was after a while of living in LA is, hopefully some opportunities to record with people come your way, because a lot of great records get made here in film, television and stuff. And that was one of those situations where somebody that worked with Dr. Dre at the time recommended me for some random reason. I got a call, it's not like I worked often with this person, but, they needed somebody. And I answered my phone and I was available. And I went down to the studio and, that was... Ooh, boy, I was scared. I was nervous. I did not want to screw that up.
Which album was that?
I think it's the Marshall Mathers LP.
So big time.
A big record. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It was cool. And Dr. Dre was super cool to me. And, Eminem was there at the studio, but I didn't really talk very much to him. I think said hello. He was in there getting ready to do vocals. And I was kind of a small part of the recording process. They were doing a whole bunch of other stuff for the song. And I was sitting there waiting for my turn, basically. So while I was doing that, while I was listening, because they listened to music very loud in the studio, in the control room. So I put the headstock of my guitar to my ear so I could hear what I was doing, kind of came up with a couple of ideas. And then Dre turns to me at one point and is like basically, what you got?
Oh my God.
And that was it. Within a half an hour, we had recorded guitar parts, and then he was thanking me, gave me a little hug. I was like, I just got hugged.
You got the spank of approval by Dr. Dre.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Unbelievable. What genre of music do you listen to? Or is it all kind of a smorgasbord? You've obviously played everything. Is there one that you consider yourself more of a fan of?
I mean, I love all types of music. I definitely listen to a lot of classical guitar music. I'm just in love with it. I listen to a lot of jazz of all ages from, and there's a lot of young cats I see, out on the internet, like doing amazing things all around the globe, playing like incredible stuff. I listen to classical music sometimes. I listen to kind of pretty much everything. But I don't do as much listening as I used to when I was young, because sometimes I feel like I need a break, Do
you find yourself falling into a rut sometimes if you hear a certain genre over and over, you kind of fall into a pattern?
No, not really. It's just like I am spending a lot of time trying to learn how to play guitar still. So sometimes when I'm not doing that, I mean, I do listen to a lot of music, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I will just take a break just to be like, because I need to. I don't know why.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I listen to country and there's the internet. The amazing thing about the internet is, with a little bit of just pressing buttons, you get led down rabbit holes of like incredible stuff in every genre, and I've definitely been influenced by all sorts of musicians, young and old, sounds that they're coming up with, or approach of playing, or just get my butt whooped. So I'm like, wow, I better keep practicing, because these people are no joke. And I feel like, an elementary school child. So, there's always people way, more virtuosic than you.
And that's coming from somebody who's played the biggest stages in the world. To feel like an elementary school child is a big statement.
Well, you know what they say, 3 chords in front, rock and roll, you play 3 chords in front of thousands of people. Jazz, you play thousands of chords in front of 3 people. And I'm no jazz musician, and I do not lay claim to. So just because you play for lots of people, you should not fill yourself up, too much, because there are smaller, very small audiences listening to sublime artistry. So I try not to take myself, I realize I'm lucky, and I try and really put my heart and soul into what I'm doing. But beyond that, kind of leave it there,
So Nashville prides itself on being very incestuous, very community driven. You got to be from Nashville to make it in Nashville. Being based in Los Angeles, how did you get the Tim McGraw hookup? How did you find your way?
An old friend of mine, he's a bass player. He plays bass in McGraw's band. He's a very renowned, successful session musician himself here. An Irish cat named Paul Bushnell, who's played on records for tons of people over the years. Elton John on down,
Crazy.
And we were on a gig together in France. We got a gig touring with a very famous French artist. When we were out on the road, he got a call to play on a Tim McGraw record, because he had worked with Faith Hill, and Tim was a fan of his. And so he had some juice in that sense. They trusted him, and they asked, who should we get to be second guitar on this record we're going to do? And he recommended me. We were in Geneva, Switzerland. I'll never forget. My cell phone rang, and it was Byron Gallimore in Nashville. Pretty thick Tennessee accent, called me up and asked me if I would come when we were finished with this tour. Would I come down to Nashville? And I was honest with him. I said, I've never played on a country record before. And he was like, "Oh, that's all right. Paulie told me about you. It'll be fine." And that was it. And I went down there, and that was a great recording experience. And that record turned out to be a really cool record. And, I kind of stayed on Tim's radar since then. And at some point, a couple of years later, I think he parted ways with some of his original band members, because he's quite a loyal guy. But there was just no reconciliation for something. And
you want to give us the deets on that, or is that classified?
It's not like classified, but it's not really that important. And I don't want to, it's like, no, it's not that important, and it's not that big a deal. Stuff happens.
Sure.
But I happened to be, on his radar, and I got asked to join his band, and that was that. I was, that was about 11 years ago now.
So did you feel some pressure to put on a show a little bit coming into Nashville? You get the call when you're in Geneva, Switzerland to perform on a country record. Did you feel like maybe you needed to throw some drawl on when you got there, throw some cowboy boots on, play the part a little bit?
Not at all. In fact, no. Best to just be yourself. Don't try and fake it because you'll get caught out. No, I mean, I was so green, I barely knew what a pedal steel was when I showed up in the studio. And you had one of the great pedal steel players of all time, Dan Dugmore, who graciously schooled me on what it was because I was looking at it because you've seen what they look like. They're crazy. They look like a car part or something. I mean, they're wild. They're beautiful sounding. And anyway, no, I tend to try and be very supportive of the song. I am not some very flashy guitar player. I consider myself, I'm just trying to support this song. And that's what I tried to do. And, on Tim's records, I've been lucky. There's always typically 2 electric guitar players on the session. And I've been lucky to play with some amazing ones on all those sessions. So I considered my job to be quite easy.
Probably a lot of fun too. Get a little freedom.
It is a lot of fun. Once the first jitters wear off, and you hearing the song kind of come together and take shape. It's pretty cool. And these musicians in Nashville are all phenomenal and have different kind of way of playing to some degree than the LA musicians, although music is music, it's universal, but there's a way of working that's quite different,
Nashville number system.
You must be a musician because you know all this stuff.
I'm more, I run around on stage. I wear the tightest jeans I can fit into and run around on stage and let the musicians do their thing.
Oh, okay. Well, for listeners that don't know, chords can be described as letters or they can be described as numbers. And the number system is you're describing the relationship of the chord to the other chords in the song. LA, they don't ever use that system. It's always letters. D major is always D major. It's never the one chord, so it's and both systems make a lot of sense. But I was scribbling letters. Don't tell anybody on my numbers charts. I was scribbling letters, and since then I've done a few records with Tim. I've been lucky enough to do a few with him, and I kind of got into the number system. So,
Bet you had to.
Well, I didn't have to. I could always write out the letters, but there were things about it that started to make sense to me.
Okay.
So,
anyway. Cool. Well, you clearly have the musical chops, but as I mentioned before, you're an amazing showman on stage as well. Is that something that you had to learn? Because when I watch you and you're performing on stage, it looks so sincere. It looks like music is exuding from you, also through your motions, not just your sounds. Was that something you had to learn, or is that something that just came completely natural to you?
I mean, I've never really thought about any of that, Tim is very generous of spirit and doesn't censor me, really. I mean, obviously, it's my job to be respectful of the space of the stage and what he's doing, not detract. But that music is very physical. His music is rocking. Our set. I mean, there's ballads, and you do not see me jumping around in the middle of the ballad because it's not natural. Right. But no, that's all. I pretty much just am having fun, and the being physical just feels natural with that music. And he's very physical on stage, and for some reason that just made me kind of, want to join the party, I guess. I never thought about it. And like I said, he's so cool. He never really censored me. And
his shows don't seem choreographed either. Are they? Is there choreography involved in any of those shows? Or
no? I mean, we have a song order,
sure,
which we like to stick to because you want to get. He likes to keep the show flowing, and so there's not a lot of time in between songs. As he himself will say, he doesn't like to bullshit around a whole lot on stage. He just wants to sing to you. So in that sense, and then there's things with the lights that are, synced with the songs because it's beautiful. It like those things work together. I mean, everybody does that. That's why, lighting designers are artists in their own right. They get with the musicians and they get with the artist and they create a thing because for the audience, it's quite a beautiful visual and, oral kind of experience. So in that sense, that is choreographed. But no, as far as where we go on the stage, I guess there's moments, if there's a double guitar solo, cats will go out to the front of the stage because like, hey, we're doing it now.
Sure.
But, you might end up over here one night, you might end up over here. And so, no, it's not too choreographed at all.
As a fan, that's a great thing to hear.
No. I am not thinking too much out there. I'm just trying to pour my guts out. Those people are, they sweat through hours of sitting in the audience, and being a fan is not easy. I've done it, and they give us so much love. Like, if the fans are dead, I would not be jumping around nearly as much. I am feeding off the energy of the crowd a lot, and the drummer. Drums are like my favorite. So, and our drummer slays, but the crowd really determines like everything for the show, how we all feel about it, Tim included.
What city has the best crowd?
They're all he's pretty phenomenal like that. His audiences are great all the way around, but sometimes you will go to a place where you least expect the crowd to be on fire because it's a small, sleepy place. You think you're in the middle of nowhere because it's a festival and you're in a rural area. Like, we were in Nebraska not that long ago. And when you get to the gig early in the day, you show up in the middle of the day to set, whatever, or the end of the afternoon, you get there and nobody's there yet for the crowd. And it's like a fairground, or it's a shed outdoors. There's nothing around there. It's kind of, dusty, and you're like, wow, okay. But by the time showtime kicks in, those 15,000 people have jammed into that place and they are killing it and uplifting you. And so you never know where it's, but like I said, on his gigs, they're always into it. They are always into it. I mean, we played in California about an hour outside of LA this year, and I was blown away by the Californians. They rocked so hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you can smell, depending on what state you're in, you can smell ganja everywhere, it's funny.
So do you guys, how important is the energy before the curtain comes up or before you guys run out on stage? Can you hear the crowd? Can you feel the anticipation?
Oh, for sure. There's usually opening bands, and they are great. And they are, the audience is already in it. And then there's like, certain songs that he'll play right before we go on, and then the house lights go off and people get this kind of like, we know he's about to kick. And like, if you can't get excited about that and you can't get a little nervous about that, you should have your pulse checked. I always get nervous. I'm always a little nervous. And I never go on stage cold. I'm always like physically have to warm myself up, because otherwise I just wouldn't be able to do it,
Well, you've played some of the biggest stages in the world, so it's great to hear that you still get the nerves. But where do you go from here? Is there anything that you haven't accomplished yet that you really would love to accomplish?
I mean,
I promise I won't tell Tim.
No, not at all. I mean, as far as playing live concerts, I feel like I don't want to be greedy. I've done a lot, and I'm happy where I am. I would love to get better on guitar, be able to play pieces of music that I am unable to play. I love playing on people's records, so I hope I get to continue to do that, and hopefully work with people that are younger and older than me, so I don't get put in a slot. I love working on films and television, anything music with picture. I love, be it playing guitar, or sometimes I get to, ghostwrite, help compose the music. I love doing that. So if I can continue to do that, that would be amazing. I mean, I'm just, I don't want this to go away and dry up and go away, but it can easily, it's really, there's so many talented people out there, and there's not that many opportunities. And like I said, nobody owes you anything in this life. So, my thing is really, can I keep living this dream? And, it's not that it's all easy or that it's all fun. Sometimes you don't love doing what you're doing, But fortunately, music it's one of those mountains to climb that you'll never reach the top of it. There is no top of that mountain. It just keeps going.
So do you ever get jealous of the headliner, not necessarily Tim, but in any part of your career? Have you ever been jealous of the headliner and the recognition they're getting when you bring so much talent to the table?
Early in my career, I was playing with opening acts, and it was, of course, you want to be like going on when it's dark out, and when the crowd knows the lyrics to your songs, and I meant you personally, though. Like, do you ever look at Tim McGraw and say, you know what, I wish that was me front and center. I wish everybody knew my name. And not even for a second. That has never crossed my mind. I don't no, I'm only believable doing what I do, which is playing guitar and being in an ensemble with people. I am not I'm not really I'm not like I don't have, maybe if I was a great solo guitar player, I might have, in that case, I would do that. Maybe I would seek out smaller gigs where it was just me doing my thing, but that's not really what I'm about. So no, I don't have that at all. And in fact, I love being kind of in that supporting role. It feels very natural.
It seems to be very natural, and that comes from a sincere standpoint. You're incredible at what you do. Now, have you ever screwed up on stage, on a major stage, a big part?
Yeah, for sure. I've had clams and stuff. I mean, none that have scarred me for life. And when I was in Alanis's band, it's funny you asked that question. She was amazing at never looking back at a moment that happened that wasn't perfect, that was flawed. And she kind of taught me that to accept that you are flawed, that imperfection is part of the beauty of this journey we are on. And she also tried to instill in me to love myself. And so that really helped me at a time probably that was pretty important. So, you get nervous, and your hands get crazy, and you screw up sometimes, but hopefully you have more, you have many more moments where you're just in the flow, not thinking, and things just come out and it's all good.
Have you ever faced any repercussions for a mistake?
I got fired off my first session I ever did in LA. I didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. I really had no business being there. I didn't really know how to interpret if somebody, an engineer or producer asked me, we need something like this for the song. I didn't even know what they meant yet because I kind of was too nervous and too green.
Sure.
So, but then yes, in answer to your question, I have screwed up. Or I've been replaced on albums, we got somebody, we ended up doing, using different guitar part on this. Sorry,
what kind of an emotional toll does that take on you as a musician? Is that a real confidence killer, or is that something that you've kind of learned to just roll with these days?
Well, anybody that says, oh, it doesn't matter is going to be lying to you, I think. But no, hopefully you rely on your friends to, you're like, because your friends can give you a lot of confidence, that's, reiterate that you don't suck, but also, you've got to take some comfort in the fact that like this happens to all sorts of amazingly successful people, to have a flawless track record in this life. Good luck with that.
So you've had an incredible record on the road, touring with a bunch of different artists. Can you tell me the wildest story from the road?
Wildest story from the road.
Uncensored. I'll bleep it out if I have to.
Well, I can't really tell you the wildest ones. But
non-disclosure agreements, or what are we dealing with here?
No, just more like, no, I'm not. I don't want to. No, I just can't. But what are some of the wildest moments? I mean, playing on live on the Oscars with McGraw as he was doing a tribute to Glenn Campbell. And we were in Capitol Studios with the orchestra live, going out live on TV. And Dean Parks, legendary guitar player. Like, you know, I am a peon next to this man. This man has played, you know, on literally thousands of records. He's such a beautiful guitar player. He's sought after in, you know, on film, television, and records for years now. He's in his, I think if he's not 70, he's approaching it, and he's still active. Anyway, he was part of the Oscar band, you know, but McGraw asked me to come along, and that was pretty amazing. That was a pinch me moment for sure. That blew my mind.
Very cool. Well, for all of our country music fans out here, can you give us any dirt on Tim McGraw? Does he do anything weird? Got a gas problem? What are we dealing with Tim? He looks a little too perfect on socials.
You know, he's a fitness junkie, man. He loves, you know, none of us could even think to keep up with him. He's like, you know, he's kind of crazy like that. He will do things that nobody else will do. He's got this stamina and this fire that like burns very bright. As far as dirt on him, he's been great to me, man. So no, I'm not getting
Fair enough. Well, are you working on any solo projects yourself? Anything you want the people to see here that are listening?
No, nothing solo of mine. I am on a couple of records that are coming out. There's a singer named Christina Perry that's a beautiful singer that's got a record that's about to drop that I played on, and another singer named Lissy who's got a beautiful voice, and she's amazing. And she wrote some songs with some Nashville songwriters on this record. That record's coming out. McGraw has, you know, songs and record coming out that I played on. I worked on this latest Clint Eastwood movie, and there's a lot of cool kind of acoustic guitar, banjo, and electric guitar, and I played most of that stuff. That's pretty cool. And it has a little nod to like kind of Mexican Tex-Mex thing going on. It's a pretty cool movie. Yeah. So I don't know, but no, I don't have any solo things I'm working on, really.
Very cool. Well, it sounds like you're keeping very busy. So we really appreciate you taking the time to hang with me. Again, I'd love to have you on. I feel like I could talk to you for hours.
Sorry, Tim. Since you can edit this, I do have a fun band with these two friends of mine, Victor Indrizzo and Jeff Babko, who are two amazing LA session and touring musicians. And we have a band called Bill, B-I-L, it's our initials, where we just do, you know, weird music for the fun of it. And that's pretty cool. And you can look that up on YouTube. Do you
ever play in the LA area?
We have only done one show, and it was for a drum magazine. They did during lockdown, they did a kind of a drummer showcase of all these world-class drummers. And they said, you can do whatever kind of music you want. And Victor asked if we would do this one with him. So we did that, but we have not gigged. I mean, our songs are typically 1 minute long.
Very cool.
You know,
perfect for this day and age.
It's weird instrumental music, and yes, very perfect for people with small attention spans, like most of us, like my kids.
Well, again, I really appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully we can do this again. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. You got so much to share. Can you let us know your social handles where people can find you if you would like to be found?
Sure. I'm only really on Instagram, and I'm DLevita007. DLEVITA 007.
Love it. Well, make sure to post that. And David, thank you again for taking the time. Hopefully we can do this again.
Man, really nice to talk to you too, Tim. And nice meeting you. And we'll be in touch. And I'll be having to save your station now on my car. So wait, let me ask you, you DJ on the station?
That's right. I'm the morning host. Yep.
Oh, you're the morning host. Okay, cool. So typically Monday to Friday, like when can I hear you do your thing?
Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. if you're up that early.
I am up way early, man.
Nice.
Right on. Well, really nice to meet you, bro.
You too, man. Hopefully get to see you in town. Have a good one.
Yeah, you know, if we're playing ever somewhere where you're going to be here or another state or something, hit me up. I'll hook you up. No problem.
Really appreciate it, man. Have a great one. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks, bro. Bye.